women do. Women look at the pot and they say, okay, only this 20% of men are worth my time. The flap here against women is that we're being too picky. What I also think is happening here is that the guys are presenting themselves as too equal. So the men are coming off as our equal, and women don't date their equal, they date their superior. Okay, guys, so we're going to dive into something a little bit more fun. Because I think this is actually very relevant to the times. It's not particularly political, and it's not something that is, I would say, fringe cultural, like seeing what's new on the progressive front. This happens to focus on the nuts and bolts of the battle of the sexes. So, what I want to talk about today is how to help the nice guy. I really want to talk about how to help the nice guy, because in this day and age in dating, the nice guy has absolutely zero chance, and I'm going to explain why. Okay, so number one, nice guys do not have a chance in this dating world because we are experiencing a shift. So statistics are showing that right now women are surpassing men as college graduates. So what that means is that in the schema of dating, so like you're gonna be getting on Tumblr, you're gonna be getting on Bumble. I don't recommend that at all, but the hubs are such. You're gonna hop on there and you're gonna want someone that looks upkept, right? So like someone that looks normal, someone that looks like they're taking care of themselves, okay? But these are millennials and Gen Zers that are taking care of themselves. And the only way to do that is with money. You have to make sure that your needs are met. Most of us aren't born with a silver spoon in our mouth, and a lot of us are encouraged to leave the nest. So if you're leaving the nest and you're not married, you're working. So if you're out there, you're working, you're going to school, you're killing it, you're already taken care of. So where the man comes in that equation is basically an add-in, but not a necessity. And women are hypergamous. Women date up. For whatever reason, we always aspire for someone who is better than us. We want someone who's doing better than us. And maybe that's a shift we need to make psychologically, is to be okay with someone who is equal to us. But women tend to date up. And so where that places the other guy who would have been her equal is not at an equal level anymore. It places him lower because she's not looking at him. So the stats are, according to a certain trending podcasts, that would be you, Pearl, with Just Pearly Things. According to her, 80% of men get ignored in dating apps when women are looking for a match. And I really paused when I heard that, because on the one hand, I couldn't necessarily pull myself out of that list because when I was in the dating market, I'm in a relationship now, but when I was in the dating market, I did actually do that. I passed by so many guys, and I thought to myself, isn't that what people do? But apparently that's not what the guys do. Guys tend to not only, choose 20% of the pot as worthwhile or worth looking into, where women do. Women look at the pot and they say, okay, only this 20% of men are worth my time. And the flap here against women is that we're being too picky. But what I also think is happening here is that the guys are presenting themselves as too equal. So the men are coming off as our equal, and women don't date their equal, they date their superior. Okay. And what nice guys don't understand is that they're not presenting as their superior. They're not presenting as the average female superior. So could honestly come down to the way that you dress. If you just look like you know more, like you've done more, like you're more ahead, you all of a sudden become more attractive. And that's often why women are dating older men, because they already know just by that silver beard that he has experience. So by default, he is at least ahead of her in that way. And it would be really, really helpful if nice guys understood that if they brought that simple quality of simply looking like they can take life head on even better than she can, you will look more attractive to her. He will look more attractive to her. And that complex of appearing as an equal will not get in the way of you actually getting a date. Okay. Number two of why nice guys are sinking in this day and age. I'm calling it out, guys. I am calling it out. Nobody wants me to talk about this, but I am calling it out. Number two is porn. Okay. Unfortunately, the primary educator for men on positive sexual relationships are not usually parents. When I say primary, I don't mean main educator. In this case, when I say primary, I mean first. The first person to get to you to give you an idea of what sex is or what it means or what a woman is, unfortunately, is the monitor in your room or your phone showing you gross content between a man and a woman. And it begs you and your young brain to process what's actually happening here. And all I believe a child, because typically these happen to boys when they're very young, they see porn, and unfortunately, some of them get hooked on porn. What they're seeing is complete dominance of a man on a woman. And yes, they understand that probably they shouldn't be seeing this. There's something very wrong with this. But there is a social exchange happening. And it's typically, not all the time, but it's typically male dominating female. It's very animalistic. It's very raw. It's very untamed and uncut nature and play. And I've experienced this, men who do have addictions to pornography. It's almost like they're looking at you, at the female, at me, as if I'm two things. It's the weirdest thing. It's like they see me as Jacinta, who's talking to them right now, and then they see me as, unfortunately, I don't know how to say this respectfully. Like, they see me as woman. And in their mind, woman is what this happens to. Woman takes this. Woman ultimately accepts this. And no, no, just absolutely no, no, no. Woman does not accept whatever it is you saw when you were 11. Okay, no, that is not the case. That is not true. That needs to be erased from your head. And what you need to do is make relationships with women. And I think the more entrenched you are in the prawn industry, the more essential it is for you to truly understand a female as a person, because that industry has robbed personhood from the woman. And you will never truly be able to engage with her properly if you're seeing her as meat at any capacity. If she is coming off as object, you've lost her, because we can tell. Okay, whether you guys believe it or not, we can completely tell when someone sees us versus when someone is seeing through us. And that's very important. Now what I've also seen is that not all nice guys are struggling with prawn, and not all people struggling with prawn are nice guys. But I think it needs to be said that prawn will definitely put you in the nice guy zone, because it probably confused the heck out of you and you don't have a real relationship with any female and you're not sure how to start the conversation, and you're kind of having a problem with not viewing her objectively. So all these things are happening, and for her safety, you're like, I'm just not gonna go there. I'm just not even gonna try. And guys like that usually need someone who's very communicative to reach them. Um, and not all women are like that. Not all women have time to be your therapist. Most women are moving on with their lives, and so you feel like you've been bypassed. So please respect the fact that we are human beings. We are not objects, no matter what your little fantasies are telling you, and you won't build a connection if you can't start a connection. That's just reality. So number 3, nice guys, I believe, are not being honest with themselves. I don't think nice guys are being honest with themselves in that they truly want to be married. They truly want to be a father. They truly want to be a husband. They truly want a wife. They almost feel like these things should just kind of happen for them, and they don't put themselves out there and seek it out. And if okay, so one way to attract, there was this study done in London where they took a gentleman who wasn't, by most women's standards, they didn't consider him to be very attractive, but they put him in a box, and they had all these women come by and like rate him as far as how cute they thought he was. And so most women put down a number between like 1 and 100, and it was like in the lower range. And so then the next day, they put him back in the box. Poor guy to stand there for another 8 hours and let all these women bypass and rate him. But this time they had a little plaque next to him or something like that. And the plaque had said, I am a millionaire, and I have like all these different things, and for whoever dates me, I'll be more than happy to give them a great time. All of a sudden, his cute rating skyrocketed. Now he's in the high ranges between 1 and 100. And everybody's like, well, what happened? Okay. Well, not only do women date hypergamously, but we're nesters, right? So we want to make sure that not only are we getting a good deal, but our kids are getting a good deal. And women tend to date men that have, I don't want to say money, I want to say means, okay? Men that have means. Means to do what? Means to take care of a family, okay? So even if she's not in your life, go ahead and build the nest. That's not a problem, okay? Buy the house, get the car, make sure you have ideas in terms of where you want to propose, what kind of ring you want to get, what kind of um, environment you want to raise a family in, what kind of neighborhood. Have these ideas already in your head, and for whatever you can out of all those ideas acquire now, go ahead and acquire them now, because you can use that to advertise. You can say, hey, look, I live in Baltimore. I own a 2,100 square foot home. It's empty. I want to fill it. I want to have a wife and children there. That is like the hottest thing you can tell a woman, is that I have an empty home that's ready for you and our kids. Okay? You will look like Prince Charming if you tell her something like that. Okay? And what that does is it, okay, so oftentimes what the nice guy will look like in our eyes is that he's so nice that he doesn't really care about where life takes him or how life will lead his next dreams and goals and ambitions. And if you don't really seem like you have a plan, she's going to feel like she's not putting her or her kids in a safe environment. So you will lose that way. You will lose because you're not communicating to her subconscious, which is wired to nest, which is wired to plan for the family that she will inevitably carry into the world. So I don't want to belabor the thought anymore. Of course, there are always tips and tricks, and I'm sure women can also learn a lot from you men. But these are my thoughts with regards to what the nice guy can do to shake things up and make it a little bit easier for him to catch a woman. So those are my thoughts, and I'll be back for more soon.